You're listening to The Briefing, first broadcast on the 12th of December 2025 on Monocle Radio. Hello and welcome to The Briefing, broadcasting live from Studio One here at Midori House in London. I'm Chris Chermak. Coming up on today's program, we'll get the latest from on the ground in Gaza as Donald Trump's peace plan for the region struggles to get out of its first phase. After that, we head to Cambodia to get the country's perspective on border clashes with Thailand that are entering a fifth day. We'll also get the business headlines with Ewan Potts, and then
I would also maybe recommend there's a series of really thoughtful cold weather brands, including Lisa Young, which is a Swedish brand. It's independent but has grown so fast in the last few years.
Our winter series turns to fashion with Natalie Theodosi. All that right here on The Briefing with me, Chris Chermak. And a very happy Friday to all of our listeners today on The Briefing. We're going to start with the latest from Gaza, where heavy rains have impacted an already very difficult humanitarian situation, all while Donald Trump's peace plan remains stuck in its first phase, a ceasefire, with Israeli troops still in parts of Gaza and few signs that they will be leaving anytime soon. Well, I'm joined now by Nada Al-Tawher, senior foreign reporter at The National in Abu Dhabi, and by Shaina Lowe, communications advisor for the Norwegian Refugee Council's Palestine mission, currently in Amman. Shaina, let me start with you because I wanted to get a picture of what the situation is on the ground in Gaza at the moment. What are you hearing from your people about how the flooding is impacting things?
The flooding is just making what was already a very, very difficult life impossible for so many people. Gaza is very prone to flooding. We've seen floodwaters reach sites all across Gaza. At least 850,000 people are seeking shelter in areas that are prone to flooding. And we've already seen reports that over 10 people have already died as a result of this storm that's taken place over the last 3 days. Two of those who died were infants that succumbed to exposure and hypothermia, and others died as a result of buildings where they were seeking shelter collapsing. We are in desperate need, and our teams are in desperate need of emergency shelter supplies to provide for the 1.3 million people who remain in desperate need. We need heavy machinery to remove rubble and clear channels for drainage. But our hands are largely tied as restrictions persist and not nearly enough aid is getting in.
Nada, to bring you in on that, I mean, part of the need for Gaza, surely, to help with some of that is some sort of government administration. And that, of course, will only, or it seems like will happen only if this peace plan can move forward a little further. Can you describe for us the holdup at the moment? I do understand, at least from Israel's perspective, that this is partly because the body of one hostage has yet to be returned.
It's quite fascinating to think that the lives of 2.2 million people hang in the balance as one body is being searched for with no additional equipment being brought in, with no assistance being allowed to help search for that body. And in the meantime, a form of collective punishment is being enacted on the people of Gaza. As Shaina described, the situation is untenable. This is the third year in a row that Gazans have had to live in tents that are not capable of withstanding heavy rains and flooding. And obviously that has not just immediate impacts, but long-term impacts on their health, but also on the infrastructure as sewage water floods, because all of the health and hygiene infrastructure, a lot of it has been damaged. In the meantime, Benjamin Netanyahu plans his fifth trip to Washington to meet Donald Trump. And there are reports that Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is also heading to Washington. Whether there's going to be a trilateral meeting or not is yet to be seen. Um, the Before we even talk about the second phase of the ceasefire, we need to acknowledge that the first phase has not been met, that this has not been a ceasefire as it was supposed to be, because nearly 300 Palestinians have been killed by Israel since October 10, and um, and every single day we have kids and people dying of the cold and of a lack of medical treatment as aid continues to be blocked. And when we talk about aid, we're here talking about medical supplies as well. So in a lot of different ways, whether it's the lack of entry of aid, whether it's the continued bombardment of Gaza and the daily deaths of Palestinians there, the ceasefire has not been met, and that's just the first phase. So no wonder the second phase is being held up.
Shayna, to bring you back in on this, you did talk about some restrictions still in place, as did Nada there. Just tell us what sort of humanitarian aid is getting in at the moment. What are people in Gaza seeing?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to just explain that dozens of international NGOs have been blocked and continue to be blocked from bringing in assistance. This includes the Norwegian Refugee Council. We have about $4 million worth of aid that's trapped outside of Gaza, and we continue to face rejections. We've had this aid for months, and we have not been able to bring a single relief item into Gaza in 9 months. There are some organizations that have gotten approvals from the Israeli authorities, but what's entering is still completely inadequate. We have had about 15,000 tents enter Gaza since the ceasefire was announced through UN channels. And these are UN tents and INGO tents, but it's hardly made a dent when 1.3 million people are in need of shelter materials. Other countries may be bringing in aid bilaterally, but many of the tents that are coming in from those countries, donated by those countries, are just simply inadequate in terms of their quality to provide appropriate shelter in winter. Some of these tents are not even water resistant and require reinforcement. We have, of course, since the ceasefire came into effect, seen more aid enter, but we're still facing huge restrictions with tens of millions of dollars worth of aid waiting mere kilometers away. The other issue, in addition to getting in the aid, is getting in heavy machinery that's needed to clear and remove rubble to create more space for people to seek shelter, materials that are needed like cement to repair damaged structures, as well as just the number of entry points to bring in aid, where there are only 3 crossings that have been opened and only 2 that remain open regularly. And so this is creating bottlenecks when really this is a time that aid should be surging into Gaza, and yet we're still facing the same types of restrictions and obstructions, both bureaucratic and physical, that we have faced over the last 2+ years.
And Nada, I mean, in addition to those restrictions on aid, the blockage of aid, I mean, Gaza clearly needs some sort of government administration as well, which would maybe help with some of this. What is the perspective from where you are on even this idea of sort of Trump's Board of Peace and international administration of Gaza?
Well, I think it's evidenced by the kind of lack of positive reception, so to speak, of Tony Blair being the chairman of this so-called Board of Peace. Tony Blair is not somebody who has a good track record in the region, and we've seen that he has been dropped for that position recently. Who is going to be named in his stead? We don't quite know yet. There isn't a clear vision for what this Board of Peace is going to be, or what its role is, or even its reputation right now is still in the balance. We don't know exactly much about it, and so you see a lot of hesitation for concrete involvement by regional states to sign up to something that is so opaque, especially with the idea that an international stabilization peacekeeping force is supposed to be a part of all of that. But what is that stabilization force's role? Is it going to be a peacekeeping entity? And if so, will there be peace to keep in the first place, or are they going to find themselves clashing with armed groups, whether it's Hamas or other militants that Israel has supplied weapons to? I'm not sure that any of the Arab states are going to be excited about that prospect of being on the front line of something like that. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a very viable option in terms of governance. Hamas has expressed its willingness to disarm, but for now, the Palestinian Authority seems to be the only viable option that there is some consensus around. The Palestinian Authority is obviously corrupt and needs a lot of reform, but it is and seems to be the only plausible option for the time being. But whether it itself is equipped to handle a role of governance in Gaza is yet to be seen.
Nada Al-Tahir, senior foreign reporter at The National in Abu Dhabi, and Shayna Lowe of the Norwegian Refugee Council's Palestine mission. Thank you both very much for joining us. Now here's Hassan Anderson with the day's other news headlines.
Thanks, Chris. Donald Trump says the US will send a representative to weekend talks in Europe on Ukraine, but warned he won't waste a lot of time if the meeting looks negative. His press secretary says he has grown extremely frustrated with both sides after months of mediation. The defence ministers of Germany, France and Spain are meeting today, hoping to break a deadlock over Europe's next-generation fighter jet programme. The project is worth up to €100 billion and seen as vital for the region's defence ambitions. And Swiss Eurovision winner Nemo says they are returning their trophy in protest at Israel's continued participation in the contest, arguing it clashes with Eurovision's ideals of unity and dignity. Their decision comes as several countries announce boycotts over Israel's inclusion due to its actions in the war in Gaza and this year's voting controversy. Those are the day's headlines. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks very much, Hassan. Now, clashes between Thailand and Cambodia have entered a fifth day, with at least 20 people killed on both sides in the latest eruption. The other political casualty is Thailand's parliament, which has been dissolved and new elections called. Both sides have blamed each other for breaking a ceasefire brokered by Donald Trump, who is expected to speak to the two countries' leaders soon. Well, joining us now to give us Cambodia's perspective on this conflict is Dr. Sin Sam, policy analyst of the Royal Academy of Cambodia in Phnom Penh. Dr. Sin Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. There is a lot of blame, frankly, going around at the moment for starting this. Thailand claims that it started with two of its engineers, I believe, being fired upon on Sunday. Just give us a bit of Cambodia's perspective on this, if you could.
Yes, thank you so much for your invitation. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much to the United States and all international countries that pay attention to this problem right now. You know that Thailand always want to create the problems with Cambodia because that is the long-term history between the two countries. However, this second time, from the Cambodian perspectives, we believe that it happened because the Thai politicians just want to get just want to get support from Thai voters before their election in March next year. So that is the problem. However, if we listen to Thai side, maybe they accuse Cambodia, but if we listen from Cambodia side, we will accuse Thailand. But there is one example that we can talk, and I'm sure that we will frankly understand. First, Cambodia, we have only 17 million people, and Thailand, they have 72 million. So their weapons and their economic and their population is bigger than Cambodia. So there is no reason that Cambodia will start the wars, because Cambodia have been gone through the war for many decades, and our population is very small. We just want to live in peace. So there is no reason that as a small country, a developing country, the country that been through many wars, to start the war, because this is the time for Cambodia to live in peace and harmony in the region, especially with ASEAN countries and also with all the neighboring countries. But this is the history. And if we look back to the 1904, 1907, during the France and Sham Treaty, And also 1962, when the ICJ declared that the Previous temple is belong to Cambodia, Thailand's always try to reject it that. So in this point, I can summarize that Cambodians, we always respect and follow through international laws and also the ICJ, but Thailand always reject it. I think that is one problem. And another second problem is that Cambodia, we follow and respect through the maps that is recognized by the United Nations, while Thailand, they just use their own map, the map that they draw by themselves. That is the problem. And the last important point is that in the history, Thai side, they teach the history to hate the neighboring countries. You have to understand that Thailand also have the problem with Malaysia because Malaysia used to lose 3 provinces to Thailand and also Myanmar. But Cambodia, because we share very similar culture and tradition, so that is why provoke the problems with Cambodia. It is very popular for politicians to gain popularity for the voters. That is the root cause of the problem. Yeah, thank you.
Now, when it comes to what might happen next, there had obviously been a ceasefire in place that had been brokered to a degree by U.S. President Donald Trump. He is going to be getting involved again in this conflict. I wonder, from your perspective there too, what you would like to see from the U.S. president and, for that matter, from any other actors in the international community to try and resolve this conflict.
First, Cambodia is strongly want to see the ceasefire. I mean, we want to see the message and the phone call from President Donald Trump because Cambodia strongly needs peace and stability. We want this invasion to stop, to finish as soon as possible. Like I mentioned, Cambodia always follow through the ceasefire agreement, international laws, because we found that there is no benefit to create the wars. And why we have to start the wars if we do not expect that we are going to win? We are too small. We just want to live in peace. So I can say right now, everyone here in Cambodia, including our prime minister, our official, our people, I think if there is a reporter from London and come to see our displaced people right now, we have the civilian die and thousands of people have to leave their home, the children die. So we just want this war to finish as soon as possible, and we want President Donald Trump to intervene, to call as soon as possible. Yeah, and also international community, ASEAN. We also want to see ASEAN role. We also want to see the European roles. We also want to see the United Nations role. Please start to work. Don't be so quiet because we don't want more people to die. Yeah.
And just finally, perhaps you could describe as well, you were talking about the domestic situation in Thailand with elections. Could you describe the situation within Cambodia, both politically, I suppose, how this is being played out, but also what sort of impact this conflict is having on life in Cambodia, also for that matter, tourism coming into the country?
Yes. First, I have to say that in 2023, during the election in Thailand, the party that win the majority election, they did not get the opportunity to lead the country. And Cambodia and Thailand, we economically depend on each other. Our agricultural products, mostly in our 3 provinces close to the border of Cambodia and Thailand, our farmers sell their product to Thailand, and Thailand, they also sell their products to Cambodia. So economically, we are strongly depend on each other. But because of this conflict, I can say, I'm sorry because I'm from Cambodia. I can say that Thailand will have the big problem inside their country if they do not provoke the countries within other countries. That is the realities. You can go back to 2023 election. And then in Cambodia, because we still have a lot of things we need to develop, we need to improve for our own stability and for our own prosperity. And however, this is related to the history, this is related to the map, and also this is related to the desires of Thailand that just wish to control the parts and the temple of Cambodia. and they do not give respect and values to international laws and international rules. But if we listen to different medias, because I think Thailand is prepared for everything. Thailand has the big medias. They have their own people working in international medias around the world, so that they can spread the information, the news from their side very easily. From my perspective, from Cambodian perspective, as a small country, I feel very unfair when other countries invaded our countries, and then the international media, international news also reported that we invaded them. So that is what we are facing right now. Our civilian people died. Our innocent people have to remove from their home. Our children died. But then some international media reported that we are invaded Thailand. That is very unfair. So I just wish and I hope that the neighboring countries, ASEAN countries, can live in peace. And I just hope that the civilian people in both countries, Cambodia and Thailand, can live peacefully, because if we can go back to the situation before the problems, our people, the people of Cambodia and Thailand, who sometimes they understand each other language, they can run business together, they can invite each other for the wedding, for the party, and they can meet face to face in the conference and in the meetings. Even right now, I travel many countries for the conference and for meeting. And when we meet our colleagues from Thailand, we try to shake hands, but our feeling is not the same as before. We used to feel very close, but right now, during these problems, we do not talk to each other. I feel so sad. But however, at the end, the problem is majority is from Thai side, the Thai election, and also Thai politicians. They just want to get the popularity from Thai voters before the election. So that is the real problems from that we should be aware. And I hope that Cambodia will live in peace and stability forever. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Sin Sam of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, we appreciate you joining us to offer Cambodia's perspective on this. You're listening to The Briefing on Monocle Radio. You are back with The Briefing. I'm Chris Chermak, and it's time now to get the latest business headlines with Bloomberg's Ewan Potts. Ewan, it is always good to have you on the show, and we are going to start with something we have certainly discussed on this show before. We've heard worries about a bubble in AI stocks, but now some investors are sounding the alarm about all of the debt funding this boom.
Hello, Chris. Yes, we talked about the lofty valuations, that's putting it mildly, of some of the big companies involved with the AI boom. But now some investors are asking if the data center building frenzy is getting out of hand. And in particular, they're focusing on the enormous amounts of debt being run up by some of these companies. OpenAI, the firm behind ChatGPT, for example, has plans to spend $1.4 trillion on AI infrastructure. And that is just one company. One investor is warning that a key risk to consider is the possibility that the boom in data center construction will result in a glut. You often get this when the massive spending booms. It turns out that we don't need all of this infrastructure. So when all of this settles down, perhaps the world may find that it's got too much data center capacity. Nobody is saying that now. At the moment, everybody's saying we can't get enough of this stuff. But perhaps in 2 or 3 years' time, there may be some more efficient chips. They may have some cleverer models which don't need all the power. And in which case, the people holding all this debt are going to be in some trouble. The risk, of course, is that some owners eventually go bankrupt. Another danger that's being flagged is that there'll be less credit available when all these facilities currently being constructed are in need of refinancing in maybe 3 or 5 years' time. It's a bit like if you take out a massive mortgage on a house and in 5 years' time you find that the bank doesn't want to refinance it when it looks like you paid too much in the first place. The estimated overall infrastructure rollout by some forecasts could be as much as $10 trillion. So there is plenty of room for things to go wrong.
They're eye-watering sums of money you're talking about there, Ewan. But one other thing you did want to focus on is this Australian ban on under-16s using social media. This is something we've been talking about as well this week. It came into force on Wednesday, but there's been a challenge to it now.
Yeah, so much good publicity around this. The first democracy to ban social media use for under 16s. And just 2 days into the ban, Reddit is launching a legal challenge against that ban in Australia's highest court. The US social media company argues that the ban is invalid. It says the move infringes the implied freedom of political communication. It is actually not the first legal challenge. Two 15-year-olds from New South Wales claim the social media ban is unconstitutional. They claim this before it even came into force. They say that it infringes the implied freedom of communication on governmental and political matters. Speaking after that challenge, Australia's communications minister says that we will not be intimidated by big tech. On behalf of Australian parents, we will stand firm. But interesting that Reddit has broken ranks, if you like, to challenge this ban. So far, the bigger tech companies, the likes of Meta, are keeping their heads down. But it's something that's absolutely fascinating to watch. We know that governments all around the world, and we're watching very closely to see not only how the ban works out, but whether these legal challenges make any headway.
Absolutely, and even if Meta is keeping its head down, they'll no doubt be rooting for Reddit from the sidelines. Ewan Potts from Bloomberg, thank you very much for joining us. You're listening to The Briefing on Monocle Radio. And finally, on today's show, it is the second installment of our weekly winter series where we tap Monocle's editors and leading contributors to delight us with their cold weather recommendations, from unique gift ideas and ways to look sharp in the cold to seasonal dishes and wines to celebrate with. For this week's edition, Anita Riota sat down with Monocle's fashion director Natalie Theodosi to discuss her gift ideas to elevate this holiday season. Anita began by asking Natalie whether she has news from any brands that are designing chic winter apparel this season.
I do, and it's actually a new collaboration, so it's also something that's quite fresh and produced in limited editions. It's a collaboration between two Lebanese designers that are based here in London, Rasil, who does a lot of great ready-to-wear, and Noor Fares, who's a great jeweler. So what they did is the most amazing wool and cashmere oversized shirts, and there's black ones, there's plaid, which is very seasonal. And Noor added her touch in terms of the buttons, so you get really beautiful stones, which is meant to be also kind of healing and then good luck. So it's a real special gift, I would say, or a gift for yourself for the winter. And they're just a perfect kind of oversized shape. You can wear it really casual, but when they launched it over a dinner, they were wearing them with dresses or beautiful pencil skirts and heels. So it's actually can look really sharp as well.
Amazing. So those accents really elevate it, but you're still warm and cozy in there.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. Then also, of course, we have Monocle's December-January double issue is out. It is filled with fashion. So anything that you can pick out of the many stories you have in there, but two maybe brands or items that you thought were really well done for the winter and you would recommend.
So we've got a gift guide filled with really beautiful ideas and objects, including an Alaya bag that is on my wish list. But I would also maybe recommend there's a series of really thoughtful cold weather brands, including Lisa Young, which is a Swedish brand. It's independent but has grown so fast in the last few years. It's a husband and wife duo. They use cashmere from Mongolia, and I think it's quickly their cashmere sets and their cardigans have become kind of a go-to for anyone who's in the know in fashion, that's what they wear off duty. So that's a good one. And maybe I would also recommend Finister, which is a Cornish brand from here in the UK. They're very good with parkas, waterproof, everything. But they've recently collaborated with Amy Powney, who's another really great designer, all about sustainable clothing and producing mindfully. So they've done cold weather outerwear, but also some more elevated knitwear for winter. So it's a good one to watch out, especially for people that are adventurous and go on hikes and things like that over winter.
So Natalie's loved ones, listen up. She wants an Alaya bag, or my loved ones. You can put that under my Christmas tree.
You can't go wrong with an Alaya bag.
So just finally, is, maybe another treat, something you would just adore to find among your presents this holiday, or something that you would choose to get for one of your most beloved, most stylish friends?
So I think if you're going all out for someone, I would just buy something that's maybe a little bit eccentric, or something that you wouldn't buy for yourself. That's not the black blazer and an investment coat, things that we would buy for ourselves. So maybe it's a kind of quite out there pair of shoes. Like Manolo Blahnik has done an incredible collection of Marie Antoinette inspired shoes. Given the V&A exhibition that's taking place right now, a piece of jewelry, or if it's a more budget friendly option, it's not fashion, but I think subscriptions are a great gift. We are in the business, so I'm biased. A magazine subscription, but also flower subscription, things like that. I think anyone would enjoy getting.
Monocle's fashion director Natalie Theodosi there, speaking with Monocle Radio's Anita Ryota. Thank you both. The winter series will return next week. That's all the time we have for this edition of The Briefing. It was produced by Hassan Anderson, our researcher was Joanna Moser, and our studio manager was Mariella Bevan. The Briefing is back on Monday at the same time. I'm Chris Chermak. Goodbye. Have a great weekend, everyone, and thanks for listening.